Draw the reflection of the shaded shape in the mirror line. So we need to reflect the shape so that we have the same on both sides. And the way to do that is to dot the corners. So these 2 points are on the mirror line, so they will be on the mirror line when we reflect the shape. To get to this point here, from the mirror line, we go down half a square and then another 1. So we can go up half a square and then another 1 and dot our point. This point here is down a half and then 1, so we can go up a half and then 1. For this point here, we go down half, so we can go up half. Then for this point here, that's down a half and then another 1, so we can go up a half and then another 1. And then this point here again is down a half and then 1, so we go up a half and then 1. Now all we need to do is connect our corners. So because this dot is connected to this dot here, we can draw a line here. Then we have a line across, so we can draw a line across, and then we can complete our shape by joining up our points, and we've reflected the shape in the mirror line because we have the same reflected on both sides. Write these numbers in the correct places on this sorting diagram. We need to write 16, 26 and 36. This circle here is for numbers that are multiples of 4, so that's numbers in the 4 times table, and this circle here is for multiples of 6, so numbers in the 6 times table. 24 is in both the 4 and the 6 times tables, so that's why it's covered by both circles. It's in the section where both circles overlap. 30 is a multiple of 6, but it's not a multiple of 4. So 30 is in the circle for multiples of 6, but not for multiples of 4. And then we have 27 written outside the circles because 27 is not a multiple of 4 or a multiple of 6. So let's think of 16. That's a multiple of 4 because it's in the 4 times table, but it's not a multiple of 6. So we need to write 16 here. Now 26 is not in the 4 times table and it's not in the 6 times table. So we need to write 26 outside of the circles. And 36 is a multiple of 4 and a multiple of 6. So because 36 is a common multiple of 4 and of 6, we can write 36 in the section where our circles overlap. Match each fraction to its correct decimal equivalent. So we need to turn these fractions into decimals, and to do that we need to remember that after the decimal point, the first digit tells us how many tenths we have, and the second digit after the decimal point tells us how many hundredths. So we need to change these fractions into fractions which have a denominator of 10 or 100. So we can change 1/2 into tenths. To find equivalent fractions, we use multiplication. 2 times 5 is 10, 1 times 5 is 5, so 1/2 is equivalent to 5 tenths, so that's 0.5, because the first digit after the decimal point tells us how many tenths we have. Now we need to find a decimal that's equivalent to 1/4. We can't change 1/4 into tenths because 10 is not in the 4 times table, but we can find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. 4 times 25 is 100, because if we divide 100 by 4, we get 25. And then what we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator as well. So 1/4 is equivalent to 25 hundredths, so that's 0.25. Remember, we can only have one digit in each place value, so the 2 gets pushed over into the tenths. And now we have 3/4, and with equivalent fractions, we can find that that's the same as 75 hundredths, so 0.75. And it's useful to memorize all of these fraction and decimal equivalents. So to remember that 1/2 is 0.5, 1/4 0.25, and 3/4 0.75. Draw 2 more lines on this grid to make a square. So we need to remember that the sides of a square are all the same length. Now this will be one of the corners of the square, and this can be another corner. Now to get from this point to this point, we can go 1 to the right and then up 4. So if we take our other corner, go 1 to the right and then up 4, that tells us where our 4th corner will be. And then all we need to do is join up our corners. Or we could spot that from this point to this point, we go down 1 and across 4. So from this point, if we go down 1 and across 4, that's another way of figuring out where our 4th corner will be. And again, we just join up our points and we have a square, because all of our sides are the same length and all of our angles are 90 degrees, so right angles. Tom's bedroom door is about 190 centimeters tall. Estimate Tom's height. Draw a circle around the best estimate. So the best estimate, 130 centimeters. We can see that that's a little bit more than half of 190, because if we find half of 190, so divide 190 by 2, we get 95. So halfway up the door will be 95 centimeters, and we can see that Tom is just a bit taller than that. Now 160 would be too much, because that would be very close to the top of the door. So we want the answer that's just above 95, so 130 centimeters. Here are 4 masses. We have 2 kilograms, 1 ton, 800 grams, and half a kilogram. Write the masses in order, starting with the lightest. So 1 ton is the same as 1000 kilograms. 800 grams is 0.8 kilograms, because remember there are 1000 grams in a kilogram, and half a kilogram is 0.5 kilograms, or 500 grams. So the lightest mass is half a kilogram, then we have 800 grams, then 2 kilograms, and our heaviest mass is 1 ton. This is a drawing of a pentagonal prism. Tick the one shape that is a net for the pentagonal prism. So a prism is a 2D shape that's been stretched out. So with a pentagonal prism, we'll have a pentagon on this end, a pentagon at the other end, and then we'll have rectangular faces connecting them. And we'll have 5 rectangular faces because there are 5 sides in a pentagon. So the problem with this diagram here is that it's only got 4 rectangular faces, so there's a missing rectangle. The problem with this diagram is that these pentagons are on the same side, so they will overlap. This net does work because we can have one pentagon here. We can fold up each of these rectangular faces, and then this other pentagon will be able to fold over the top, so make a pentagonal prism. The problem with this net is that these 2 rectangles will overlap, and then this edge here won't have a rectangle covering it. And the problem with this diagram is that there's only one pentagon, and with a prism we have the same 2D shape on both ends. Draw the reflection of the shape in the mirror line. So we need to draw the reflection so that we have the same on both sides. But we have a diagonal mirror line, and that makes it more confusing. So what we can do is just turn our sheet of paper to make the mirror line vertical or horizontal. So now we need to take each of our corners and count how many squares or how many dots from the mirror line. So for this corner here, from the mirror line, we go across one and then to the second dot. So going in the other direction, we can go across one and then to the second dot. This point here is on the mirror line, so it will be on the mirror line when we reflect the shape as well. To get to this point here from the mirror line, we go across one dot and then to the next one. So in the other direction, we go across one dot and then to the next one. And this point is on the mirror line, so it will be on the mirror line when we reflect it as well. So now all we need to do is join up our corners and we have the reflection of our shape.